obviously, I kind of feel like a broken record. It's just been a season of some really, really tough losses, but I thought the kids played hard. They played well. Could have played better in some critical situations. Could have had some better calls. That starts with me in some critical situations, but just proud of the resiliency that this group has. We just had a really spirited practice. They don't flinch, and it's been the same on the field and off the field all season long. So definitely proud from that standpoint, and thought the atmosphere was really good. Again, I've been really, really pleased and happy with the fan turnout every single week. Man, they keep showing up. So I want to thank all the fans that showed up for the game. But obviously, doesn't get any easier this week. Number one offense in the country, top 5 team on the road. We got our hands full, so we'll open up from there.
Tennessee's tempo is it the hard part, the physical part, or the kind of mental part?
It's probably a combination of both things. The saying, fatigue makes cowards of us all. That's what they want to do. Is they're trying to take you to the deep water and drown you, and you got to survive it. The big thing that we have to do is make sure that we got our cleats in the ground before the ball is snapped. I think that's the key to the game, and make sure that they're ready to go, getting their eyes where they need to be, having their feet where they're supposed to be, and after that, the rest will kind of take care of itself.
How do you prepare for that kind of tempo offense in practice?
We've had a couple today. We had a couple tempo periods versus our offense, and then just kind of the style of practice. We tried to do something a little bit different to keep our guys off guard and kind of make them feel the frantic pace of the game without wearing them out as well. So just even going back from my days at Texas in the Big 12 when everybody was tempo and kind of carried over through. Really my entire career, we've had some success being able to line up quickly to tempo teams.
I know you weren't here, but when you look back at the tape from last year's Mizzou game against Tennessee, what went just so wrong there?
I think a lot of it was exactly what I said. They never had their cleats in the ground. They weren't ready to play. Again, schematically, I don't know exactly what they were being taught, but if you're not ready to play and you don't have your cleats in the ground, this team will absolutely demolish you. So I thought that when you look back at last year's tape, again, not knowing what they were being taught from a schematic standpoint, but just do they have their cleats in the ground? Are they ready to go? That was not happening.
All season long, one of the things your defense has done really well is not only getting to the quarterback, but also getting to playmakers in the backfield. What do you think has been the key to having such success getting all that backfield pressure?
The biggest thing that our guy, that's what this scheme is based on, trying to hunt negative plays, tackles for loss, create havoc. And I think our guys have really bought into that, but also seen over time when they're doing what they're coached to do, the success that they can have. So I think, you got to credit the players first and foremost, but then I think just our philosophy, our style of play helps them as well, create havoc. But, it's probably a combination of the two.
And how is that going to be really important against one of the best passing offenses in the SEC?
It's going to be critical. When you look at them, I think they're I want to say top 15, maybe top 10 in the country in tackles for loss allowed. So they do a really good job, especially up front, really not allowing a lot of space for you to get back there. There's not – they got tight splits. They do a good job. They're well coached working together up front that there's not a lot of area to kind of split them. So it's going to be critical. We got to be creative and try to find some ways to do that. But no offense wants to play behind the chains. So if you talk to any offensive coach or any offensive coordinator, they get behind the chains. That's usually not a good recipe for success on the offensive side of the ball. So it'll be critical this weekend. It's going to be a huge point of emphasis.
With you signing the 2-year extension, what about this job and just this town in general made you want to stay for the long haul?
I thought it was a no-brainer. Talking to my wife before I could even ask her, what she thought, she was all in. And I have to give thanks, obviously, to President Choi, Desiree, Coach Drink, the Board of Curators, this staff, and most importantly, the players. None of this would have come to fruition without them. But I love this town, man. I love this community. Again, I've been so impressed with the fan base, and I think we're building something special here. I really do. When you look at the ways that we've lost and the points that we've lost by, man, we're right there. So I do believe in what we're doing here. I believe in Coach Drink's vision. I believe in the players that we currently have, and I believe in the ability to recruit here. And to me, there's no reason why not Mizzou? You know what I mean? And I think we're that close to proving the country that Mizzou is as good as any other place.
What did you just celebrate?
What's that?
What did you just celebrate?
What did I do? Nothing special. I think probably stayed here to 11, game plan in Kentucky. No, but I nothing yet. That'll probably wait till after the season.
Well, kind of in a similar vein, when you started coaching, there was a little bit of a gap between you graduating from Tulane and then you accepting your first job. Just what were you kind of doing in that time, and what was that first moment you realized, hey, maybe I want to give coaching a try?
It's a great question. So I always knew I wanted to coach. I always knew that was that's what I wanted to do. It's kind of one of those deals that after playing for 5 years in college, I kind of just needed to step away. But so in between that time, actually Hurricane Katrina hit, and I was in New Orleans. So I came back, lived with my parents, and worked at a hotel for a year. And then I got into selling wine and beer, and that was fun there for a couple of years. But I always knew I wanted to coach. So I reached out to my high school coach, asked him if he had anything available. He said, no, I actually don't, but a new school popped up, and they did have an opening, and the rest is history. So I always knew I wanted to do it. I just needed a little time off from it.
Coach Baker, what is this wide receiving group is probably one of the better ones you guys have faced, but how can you kind of stop their dynamism, I guess?
I don't know. It's a really good question. I think they're probably the best receiving group. I mean, I haven't studied every receiving group in the country, but I find it hard pressed to find a better unit when you look at. I mean, they're a complete unit. They got size, they got physicality, they got speed. They're tough to stop. So we'll find out on Saturday if our plan's going to work, but I know we got our hands full. I think they're all dynamic. 11 obviously has world-class speed. He can run by anybody. And then again, the two outside guys are big physical receivers that make tough catches. They can go up and get it. They can run by you. I mean, it's impressive what those three young men can do.
Like, how much, if at all, do you pay attention to what Georgia did last weekend to that
You pay attention to it. I think Georgia's built a little bit different than us schematically and probably personnel-wise. There's some really good things I thought they did. I just don't know if they necessarily fit what we do. But yeah, you always when you watch an upcoming opponent, you always want to try to take things that maybe gave the opponent some issues.
Like, from what you've seen this season so far, from just across the league, these six-year players, like, have you seen guys be at all just smarter, more developed, something from just having that extra year?
It's a good question. I mean, it's kind of. It's probably hard to answer because this is my first year here. So who do we have that's a 6-year? Big Hop. Who else do we have? Y'all know? Coleman. I mean, so I hadn't been around those guys previously and hadn't been around them in the spring. So it's kind of, I mean, obviously I always say there's no substitution for experience. So anytime you're playing another year of football in the college level, it's got to help you, I would think.
A couple weeks ago, Ennis said that part of the game plan for South Carolina thing was trying to pressure Spencer Rattler a lot. I mean, what can you tell us a little bit about the game plan of trying to limit him, Tucker, and all the things that he does?
Well, I think you have to mix it. I mean, I think he's really good, and they do a good job. There are a lot of 7-man protection, so it's kind of a cat and mouse game from that standpoint, in my opinion. But the offense, I played him, coached against him when I was at Miami and he was at Virginia Tech. Different time, different system. The thing that's most improved, though, over the last couple years since I faced him last is he's really, really become an accurate passer. He could always run. I think, I know he took, I think it was a 48-yard power read to the house against us when I was at Miami. So I know he can run, but his biggest improvement, in my opinion, is his accuracy. And then even from last year to this year, just watching him over time, you see how much more comfortable he is within the scheme. But he's a really good player. He's going to be tough to defend.
Like there's a lot of times this year your corners are out up there on that island and you trust them out there. What's the challenge against a team like this that goes vertical so much?
They do a great job reading routes. So when you're on top, they break back down the stem. When they feel like they can beat you, they're going. So, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. The biggest challenge, though, is making sure that they're on top of routes when they need to be and then tackling the catch. Both those outside guys, I think, are 6'3", 6'4", 215 pounds. So it's going to be a challenge from that standpoint. But yeah, their offense is built to, if you're on top of them and you're playing soft, they're going to come back down. If you're pressing them, they're going to go vertical. So our corners got to be very, very disciplined this game.
Just as much as Chris and Ennis have played, I mean, you go into a matchup with those guys, you feel good about.
I feel good about those guys against anybody in the country. I said that a few weeks ago, and I stand by that now. I think those two guys are elite, so we're not going to shy away from that, without a doubt. I got all the confidence in the world in those two.
What is it about Kristian Williams that's allowed him to put in so many consistent performances this year? How he's been able to do that right off the bat?
Yeah, he's an impressive young man. I think the work that he puts in, he's always preparing himself for game day. I mean, he comes in the team meetings 2 hours before practice, and he's already got his shoulder pads on. I mean, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. So I think that's really the credit to why he's had the success. He's a blue-collar, lunch pail kind of guy, doesn't say much. But he's always looking to see how he can make himself better. I've been very impressed and honestly surprised with how well he's played so early on. He's been lights out since he's been here.
I think Josh Lang only had that one snap in the first quarter. Was it just kind of a thing to sit up for the rest of the game, or was he 100% ready?
He was 100%. I think more so. Obviously he had the club on his hand, but then probably he had the unsportsmanlike, and if you get two, you got to sit the next game. So that probably played more of a role than us being mad. It wasn't a discipline thing like, oh, you went out there and we got to be smarter. From a penalty standpoint, I thought that was a disappointing thing from us on Saturday. But yeah, he's good to go.
Like Darius Robinson, he was obviously still playing a lot, but he lost his starting job like a few weeks into the season. Now he's been back in the lineup for a few weeks, and he had arguably his best game of the season Saturday. What have you kind of seen from him as to why he's been able to have the last couple weeks that he has?
The one thing that we do control is, as coaches is butt on bench, and bench usually tells brain, either play and practice better and get your starting job back, or you can mope and pout. And credit to him, he was obviously frustrated when it first happened, but ever since then he's rolled up his sleeves and he's gotten better and better and better. But sometimes it happens to all of us, and it's not and the guys behind him and still are playing really well. They were playing well. Jernigan, Realist George, Josh Landry. I mean, we're deep in that room, so it's always compete. That's core value number one here, and I think probably lit a little bit of a fire under him, and he's practiced really well and played really well since that point. I was wrong by 2 games, man, but fired up, man. That was big time. They had me a little worried though after game 1. I said, "Oh no," but it was big time to watch them bounce back. So happy for those guys. Anything else? Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Ennis Rakestraw Jr. at the podium. No questions when you're ready.
And as Coach Baker was just saying that he feels good about you and KD against any receiver in the country. What kind of confidence does that give you heading into Tennessee?
It gives us extreme confidence knowing Baker's the DC, and it's not only him, it's our teammates, offense and defense. They trust us with their lives, so me and KD just have to keep working every day and get better so we can keep showing that we're pretty good corners. We all know number 11 can take the top off. I was watching the Alabama game. He had 5 touchdowns. He's very explosive. They say he run like a 4.3. Really looks like he got good game speed. Number 4, he was kind of hurt at the beginning of the year. He just came back from the foot injury. Bigger receiver, used his hands well. I seen him my freshman year a little bit. I seen both those guys, and they develop into real good players.
You guys have proved you're a good defense, obviously, but for you guys that played last year, played against Tennessee, what does this chance go against that offense again mean?
It means a lot. We got just blown out the water. You just got to keep it real with ourselves. We didn't play fast as we could. We wasn't getting lined up well. They always snapped the ball in a quick, rapid fire that we couldn't control. They was just running the ball down our throat. They just did everything to us, and that just a bad feeling right after that game.
What have you guys been doing this week to kind of get better prepared for that tempo?
We always got to get home on the field, so we looking at the coach and the offense already lined up, and we run into the ball, trying to help it communicate at a fast pace so we won't have many miscues.
Ennis, can you take me through kind of the challenges of being a defensive back going against an offense that spreads the field so wide sideline to sideline with their receivers?
This is what you play DB to do, in open space. A lot of people get to see like how your footwork really is. It shows if you discipline. It shows everything that the next level want to see. As you can say, the biggest thing that we have to do is contain those 2 guys, but really all the receivers, they spread the field so wide that we got to maintain our leverage, and we got to trust our safeties in the post, and I feel like we'll be fine.
Ennis, what do you think are a few of the keys to this game for the defense?
Being physical in the trenches, perimeter, containing those dynamic receivers, and causing havoc as the D-line has always did.
And as it feels like you made a few plays recently, kind of getting a tackle for loss on those quick screens. What's kind of the key when the ball gets out there quick and you got a blocker in front of you?
The key is to always make them cut back. That's the first key for me. But if I can shoot my shot, I always shoot the shot. I play so well because I trust those 10 guys on the field with me, where if I miss the tackle, I know they're right there. Like DJ Coleman was there to assist me with the TFL. It's just things like that. When you have trust like that, your confidence shoots up and you don't care what you're doing when you fail because they're always going to have your back.
Anything else, Rennes? All right, thank you much. Got Justice Charles at the podium. You can go with questions when you're ready.
Hey, Joseph, when you think about this Tennessee offense, what comes to mind right away, or what's the biggest concern?
They score fast and they go fast. That's the 2 things that I see. They go fast. They have a tempo, up-paced offense, and they are explosive and they make a lot of plays. They score fast.
What makes playing tempo teams the toughest? Is it the physical grind, or is it just the mental staying locked in?
Just getting ready, getting the call, getting lined up. That's the main thing about going up against tempo offense is, just getting ready and getting the call.
Part of the thing is the first quarter, early going, they'll just really blow up a team, and you guys have had some trouble in those first quarters at times. What do you do here to stop that?
Just start fast, handle the tempo well. That's what I think, is most important to getting a fast start is handling the tempo well right off the bat and getting in a good rhythm.
Joe, you had the sack last Saturday. Can you just kind of take me through what the feeling is like to be coming off the edge and to see a quarterback with his back to you that does not know at all that you're coming?
I thought he was actually going to get the ball out of his hand when I came around the corner, and then I started seeing him start to scramble a little bit, and I just kept going, and it was a good call. It was a good call for that situation, I think, and it put me in the right position.
What are some of the takeaways this defense can take away from some of the mishaps that happened? JC said that on that first touchdown, his eyes kind of got locked in where it wasn't supposed to be, got out of place. What are some of those things you guys learned this week?
I know for me, just working on my angles, my tackling angles, getting my hips squared and not having my hips out of place. But really just showing up to practice intentionally, trying to get better at the things that you saw from previous weeks that you had made some mistakes on and stuff like that. Just going to practice intentionally, trying to get better. So when the game comes, you can just play and not think.
Obviously, you were on the team last year, but has there been any talk in the locker room about what happened for Mizzou against Tennessee last year? Have you watched any tape from that game or anything like that?
I haven't. I didn't watch the game from last year. I mean, that was last year, but not really. I mean, people haven't really been talking about last year's game too much. I think it's a new team. It's a lot of new faces on the team, and I don't think that we're really focused on last year.
What have you guys seen as a defense from watching tape and how other teams like Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky have approached just facing Tennessee? And what are you trying to kind of tie in it and bring into this week?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, just getting lined up, getting the call, handling the tempo well. That's half of the battle is pre-snap with tempo teams. So just getting the call and getting lined up. So yeah.
Is there any weakness you can kind of say, at least try and exploit with this Tennessee offense?
No, they're a good team. They're a good team and they do a lot of things really well.
Did you play against any team that moves that fast when you were at Clemson?
I don't think so.
Your guys starting corners, Kristian Ennis. Just what makes them a good tandem, and you've seen them kind of develop over this year. What do you like about those guys?
They just got a really good mentality. They're really confident in themselves, and they don't think that they're gonna get beat ever. So and if they do, they got a short mindset. So they don't really think too much about the plays. So they just come back and they're just great competitors.
Is there extra motivation on that? Like earlier in the season, you guys faced Georgia. That's a top offense. You guys limited them pretty well. Is there like an extra motivation because of something like that, or is it the same thought process every week?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we go up against really good teams every. I feel like we go up against really good teams every week. Playing in the SEC. So now I feel like you got to have the same mindset going into each week to be successful.
Anything else for Justin? All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Roll the questions when you're ready. Kristian, what's kind of stood out about the Tennessee line?
Offensive line? Honestly, I feel like they're probably the most complete offensive line that we face going up. And, I mean, they're the most important offensive line we're going to go against because of the next game. But, I mean, if we just stick to our preparation and fall back on our preparation and follow the game plan that's planned, we shouldn't have to really just worry too much about the opponent. Rather, it's all about us.
The Pastors had 6 sacks last week. Can you take me through kind of what it's like when, during the game when everybody in the front seven seems to be making plays like that?
It starts with practice. I mean, just going into practice and going into our Tuesday and Wednesday preparation with full pads, everybody was just intentional with their movements, with their alignments, just intentional with the whole process of them getting ready for the game. So I just feel like they just correlated within the game. When it was time for the game, it was just all about fun, basically. So, I mean, just for it to click as a defense and as a whole, it's a beautiful sight to see.
Kristian, Coach Baker was just saying that you're always the first person to practice. Where did that start with you? Where did that stem from?
As I was always told, early is on time. So, I mean, and I hate to be late, because I don't want to have to rush. So, I just feel like there was something that was always molded into me as I was a young kid. So, and I feel like it paid dividends on my end just because, like, it's extra time just to be to yourself, to do what you need to do, to prepare yourself for what's to come. So, it got its benefits to it, but it's most definitely a blessing.
How much does that preparation contribute to the consistent performances you've been able to put in this season? Like your first season in a new program, a new part of the
Got you. I feel like it's played a role as well, just because like you just gotta talk to yourself, just positive and neutral self-talk. So because a lot of times there's gonna be a lot of times where you end up having doubt and things like that just try to roam in your mind. So you just gotta push all this stuff away. Just talk to yourself beforehand, so you can attack the day as you should. So I feel like that within the little time span that you have, it's fairly easy to get going with that.
What are some keys to the game defensively that you guys need to do to limit this Tennessee offense?
Just set the tone, set the tempo, starting off, get aligned, and just prepare, because we know that Tennessee has a dynamic offense, skilled players, offensive line, just and a complete quarterback as well. So just trying to prepare for them in every form and fashion that we can. So when we get into the game, it's just all about fun. So basically, the main point is just setting the tempo off the rip and just holding on to it the whole time.
Christian, it looked like for a tackle for loss, I think against Kentucky, where that swim move up off the jump. Is there like a certain situation or something you see from the guy in front of you where you go to that, or is it just kind of what you go through?
It started from practice. Just working that scenario, certain play call where I know just from the back end of where I can and cannot go. So it's all about reps basically. So once you like learn the game and learn like where everybody else is supposed to be, it's like you start to manage and you start to know which gaps you can hit and which gaps you cannot hit. So it's just also just all about learning the defense as a whole. So I feel like that kind of played a part into it.
How is a tempo offense like this a challenge for you D linemen? Is it not ideal, or what do you think?
I mean, tempo is always a challenge just because, like, you just got to have the endurance and longevity in order to be able to endure that much of a pace of a game. But, I mean, it all goes back to preparation, just preparing and practicing and, trying to, like, reenact the whole thing. So, I mean, as we go into practice, we try to work tempo scenarios just to give us the best situation as possible. So, yeah, it's always a challenge going against tempo teams like that.
Can it be harder to sub? I mean, you can sub if they sub, but if they don't, you're out there for a while, right?
Coach trusts his players, So, I mean, it's all about whenever, we got to fall back on each other when someone's getting tired or, just motivating them and pushing them to achieve the goals that they want to achieve whenever they down and out or whenever they just exhausted as a whole. So, I mean, we got to fall back on each other when we in times like that too. So, I mean, the coaches trust us and they trust in our ability and they trust the fact that we all play off of each other.
Anything else, Christian? Well, thank y'all.
Appreciate y'all.